in a large data set or in a large project where you have multiple features present, it is really important during that time to select the necessary features with feature selection, and that is nothing but your elastic net regression, where the main agenda of that regression is to select the multiple features. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you all are doing good. Like discussed already, we are going to talk about on how elastic net regression works with real-time example or real-time project. So we'll start. Let us understand on how elastic net regression works. And here, in this case, I have considered a diabetes data set, and it is present or it is readily available in Kaggle. You can take it from there. And I'm going to share all these scores and these data sets and everything in GitHub. Please go ahead and refer from there if you are practicing. So what is the first step, guys? The first step is our importing the libraries, right? So these are our base libraries: Matplotlib, Pandas, NumPy, and Seaborn. So I did it. Then after that, let me remove all the inputs. Sorry, all the outputs from all cells, that it will be easier for me to show you the outputs properly. So what are the next steps? We want to understand the data set, right? The problem statement. So this is our problem statement. What we are going to understand out of it. And this is a diabetes data set, all independent and dependent features. So the first one is pregnancies, then glucose, blood pressure, skin thickness, insulin level. Okay, I mean, what is the insulin level? So these all are medical terms, right? Then BMI, then diabetes pedigree function, age, and outcome. So what is our, output variable or target variable here? The target variable here is your outcome. That means whether a person is having diabetes or not by considering all these factors. So we will see how we are going to cover the elastic net regression in this. And what is the purpose of elastic net regression, guys? Elastic net regression is going to give you the best possible or the best possible features which you can consider, or like if you have a very large data set, right? Here only like 7 or 8 or 10 columns are present. However, the data sets are there where there are so many columns present, so many independent variables present, and the first purpose before sending the data or before proceeding for model, training and all, we need to complete all the steps, right? This feature selection, then this feature engineering, EDA part, and data cleaning, data manipulation, everything we have to complete. And so that these are the middle steps of, like when you're proceeding for your model prediction or model selection, right? With this, right, with this elastic net regression where we are adding this lasso and ridge, those are your regularization techniques that helps to understand which features are there which are highly important to keep and which are not. It is going to give you a study, and based on that you can proceed and you can predict the output by giving input to the model, right? So we will see on all those steps how we are going to cover that. So this is my data, right? This is my head of it, and you can see these are your data head, like we have like these are your numerics, all are your numerics. There is no object type here, right? Then this is the info part. So in info it is saying 768 entries are present. That means total 768 rows are there, and these are the data types for each, right? We have altogether int and float present in this. Then data.describe. So what my describe is doing is, it is giving me the descriptive statistics. And what are my descriptive statistics? Mean, standard deviation, mean like count of that, then minimum value, quartiles, quantiles, and all those things, right? Then we have one more step which we have to perform, and this is one additional step. Most of the times you will not find any duplicates, but where the larger data sets are present, when millions of rows are there, there is a high chance that few of the rows are getting repeated, and also for in that case you can use this drop duplicates, right? So it will remove all the duplicates and it is going to give you the count of all features. Here you can see it is giving me the count of features. Then I am understanding, okay, what is the like mathematically or the like formulated wise, I am just understanding how many null values are present. So I can see all are 0. Now we will move ahead with the next one. What is the next step, guys? So we did all our data cleaning and data manipulation part, and as here I have very few features, I am not combining with anyone because those all are independent features for me. So I will go ahead and perform my exploratory data analysis. So here I have taken the box plot and I am comparing all my features here. So these are my box plot for each features. You can see these are like here all my features are present: pregnancies, glucose, blood pressure, skin thickness, insulin, BMI, age, and everything. So, and I'm removing outcomes because that is nothing but your target variable, and I don't want to know because it's going to give either 0 or 1, right? So, or true or false, correct? So that part I don't want to know. And here you can see that we have, like, we are detecting the circles, right? You can see these are your circles, or in short term we are telling them as outliers. However, we need to understand whether those are genuinely outliers or not, because you can see that this line is closing at 13. However, my other lines are coming at 14, 15 and 16, 17, like that. However, those are very close values. Those are very close values. Sometimes what is happening, right? If these values are a bit deviated from your mean or from median line, it is going to give consider that as outliers. However, it is always better to re-verify your output with z-score method, MAD, mean absolute deviations, right? So those methods you can apply after this, and sometimes it is better to go ahead and give input to the machine just to understand the trend on how that machine is reading the pattern, whether the machine is able to take these data and predict properly or not. So those things you can test. However, for me, according to me, these are not outliers, right? You can see though here these values are very close, very close. Then here we have one value, skin thickness, that is present at 100. Then insulin, this is again, you can see one whisker is very tall and there is no other whisker. So that means here the mean is not taken properly. Then in BMI again, those are very close. Then this one again, closer value. So all are closely packed. I don't see any outliers in this. Then the next one, I want to know the count plot of it, of pregnancies. Why I have taken count plot here, guys? Any idea? Why I have taken count plot? Because pregnancies, if you see the data set, how you can achieve these EDS without even thinking twice. I'm just explaining that. So when you will draw any charts between this and this, or any, like, you just need to understand what is the glucose level in case of pregnancies. You can just correlate with that, because you must have observed, or you must have read that people who are into pregnancies, they are getting verified these profiles, these glucose profiles, blood pressure profiles, and all these things, BMI profiles. So if you want the compare, you can go ahead and compare between these two. However, what is going to happen, because this is a discrete one, like the count, level, like the pregnancies are there is a number of pregnancies or the count, it is better to go ahead and understand the count plot of that. And if we draw the chart between them, right, it won't give you the correct output because one is a count, right? That is not continuous. So whenever you're going ahead for any plots, you just need to see whether those are discrete or continuous. You can always go ahead with different kind of plots or continuous most of the times, not discrete. For discrete, either you can take bar plot, count plot, right? Those kind of things you can consider. And here I can see that there are 140. So you can see this level, right? 135 are there where the pregnancies count is only 1, right? However, there are few people, I think it's a diminished one. However, there are few people who are like where the data is there. Like most of the data are there with 0, 1 and 2. Here only it says everything that the people who went through pregnancies are 0, 1 or 2 labels. That means either they were or once or twice it happened. Then what is the next one? Outcome, right? Why I have seen outcome, guys? Again, this is a discrete, right? Either 0 or 1. And I can see that, and it's a positive sign, right? I mean, you can see that most of the people, like almost 500 people out of that lot or out of that data set are not, having any diabetes profile. However, there are 280, I think this is going to be 280. Those count of people have shown diabetes symptoms. Then what I did, I have taken all my continuous variables and I am trying to create my scatter plots for that, right? So the first one I have taken glucose and age. You can see that you must have heard that like the more aged that person, the more glucose profile you will get in those kind of age groups, right? So that's why that is the first trigger point for me to understand, is it true? So I can see that that is true, that is genuinely true, right? I mean, you can see that here you can see the concentration, but nowadays the trend is changing actually. You can see we have the glucose profiles for all age groups. However, you can see till 80, from 40 to 80, there are the count is more as compared to this 30, right? You can see here the data is present, but here the concentration of data or the scatterness of data is more. However, I want to know whether these values are outliers or not. So for that, I have taken a vertical line, the red line I have taken, and I want to know whether how many points are present beyond my 50. What that means, 50 glucose range, right? This is 50 glucose range and this is your age, correct? And I can see that hardly 4 or 5 dots are present, which I can consider for my further studies. Then the next one, I am taking glucose and blood pressure, and we all know that blood pressure is directly related to our glucose levels, right? So which we can see it clearly from this image, correct? So you can see the blood pressure is high or more as compared to your glucose level. So if more glucose, more blood pressure. So the side is coming on this side and not on this side, right? So that is one point. And here again I have taken, because I can see some few points are beyond 50. So I have taken that line and I am indicating that. Then I am understanding between glucose and insulin, and these are twins, glucose and insulin. Wherever glucose is present, there is a need of taking insulin, and I can see that it's totally aligned on glucose side. You can see the insulin part totally aligned on glucose side. You can see it's completely towards glucose side. Then we have glucose and BMI. So you must have heard that people who are fat or people who are, having past history or the genetic history of having fattiness or any diabetes history, then they are most tend towards glucose levels, right? Spike glucose levels. So here I can see that is again, I can clearly see from here, from this chart, right? People who have more BMI, you can see the people who have more BMI, they are more tend towards glucose. You can see still visible in this image, right? The high concentration is above 30. Then I want to see age and thickness, skin thickness. Now I want to know whether uh, so we can see, yeah. So I can see that there are skin thicknesses taken, or the thickness of skin that have been taken for all age groups, and it started from 20 towards your 80. However, I can see that the skin thickness is in better state when it is coming to 20 to 30. You can see it's around 40. However, when we are going ahead, moving ahead, it goes till 100. That means um, the thickness is becoming, it's getting thinner, because when you'll be getting aged, right? So that is a direct relation, correct? Then I want to see the skin thickness head, because skin thickness is a discrete variable, right? So I want to know. So for that I have taken a count plot, and I can see all these values. So people who have like this is, I think, when we're seeing 0 in this case, right? That means no data kind of thing here. But however, we have the thickness, maximum thickness I can see is a 32, which like where it is having like more number of people have that kind of thickness. Then what's the next step, guys? This is a regressor model. So we have to understand the regressor lines of each, right? Of each, like whatever we studied, and those are relevant studied, which we did, right? The EDA part. We need to see how, like how the regressor line is, how those two variables, or how those two independent variables are related. So for that, I have taken glucose and age, and you can see it's good regressed. Like I mean, the regressor is fine here. That means here it is able to find the best fit line. But however, there is some curve you can see. That means why that is happening is because there are so much of scatteredness present. That's why it was bit curved. Then glucose and blood pressure. So this one is a better regressed. You can see it's almost straight line, and here the data points are again closer together. Like I said that blood pressure and glucose are directly proportionate, right? I think this one also should come better. You can see glucose and insulin. Yeah, you can see it's a good regressor line, right? I mean, all the data points are closely fitted together. Then glucose and BMI. This one is, yeah, it's somewhat okay, but still some curve is there, right? Then yeah, so we did our regressor or the best fit line study as well, and what we found that the features are better collinearity. Like there is some correlations. They are not highly correlated, but yeah, they are correlated. There is no duplicates and null values in this, and there are some points which we observed beyond 50, right? Beyond our 50. So those I am not going to treat as outliers, because when we are seeing the number of counts or the number of data points, I am treating them as not treating them as outliers for this data set. Now let us see the heat map. So when I'm considering heat map, I'm removing my outcome because I don't need it, right? I don't need it. So I'm doing it. But however, let me take with outcome just to see how it is related. See, so you can see, let us study this, guys. I mean, let us understand how this heat map is coming. So my heat map is saying here, let me go through that, which have skin thickness is not having better correlation, but skin thickness with insulin, you can see here, it's coming 0.44. That means skin thickness with insulin is coming, is having a good correlation. Then pregnancies with age, very important, guys, right? I mean, you can see pregnancies with age is having good correlation. Then what else we have? Outcome with glucose with outcome, because that's highly dependent, correct? If a person is having glucose, that person is having diabetes. It is a clear shot, correct? Then we have blood pressure. There is no strong correlation of anything. Skin thickness, I have mentioned, with insulin it has correlation. With BMI, it has correlation. Then insulin is having correlation skin thickness, right? Rest, it is fine. There is no much. Then BMI skin thickness. Then outcome is also there, right? Glucose is also there. So BMI is taking a stronger step here towards your outcome. Then diabetes pedigree is not having good correlation with anything. Age with pregnancy, you can see, I have already mentioned here, it has strong correlation. Then with blood pressure, it is moderate. With glucose, it is moderate. And with outcome, it is moderate. Then outcome with glucose, it is having strong. Then BMI and age. So we understood that mostly age, BMI, and your skin thickness, not skin thickness, with glucose, BMI, and age are taking a big picture with, and pregnancies are taking big picture on predicting the outcome of your diabetes, right? Now, let us, now what we did, we have completed till ED and we understood the collinearity profile of it. Now, what is the next step? We have to see, usually what is the next step? We have to see whether we have any categorical variable, then we are going ahead and we are encoding them, right? Either one hot encoding or frequency encoding, label encoding. However, here we don't have any categorical variable. So I am directly going, and I don't want to go ahead with the scaling because I don't see the major differences between the data points, right? Wherever you are seeing the major differences with the data points, I am going to do that. However, for me, this data point is perfect. I want to know the latest trend or the current pattern. Like I want my model to know that. So I'm going ahead. I'm creating my independent variable and I'm creating my dependent variable. So my X is my independent variable altogether, where I have dropped my column outcome, and my Y is my dependent column outcome. Now, we will come back to the part which is important. So what is the next step? We have to train the model, right? We have to train the model. For that, we have to create train, test, split, correct? Like we have to create X train, like independent features, train test, dependent features, train test. So what is the model where it is present? We have model underscore selection, where those data are getting considered. So I have taken this model selection, then pre-processing, polynomial features, then linear model. Okay, inside linear model, we have bridge and lasso. Why I have considered bridge and lasso, guys? Because these are your core concept for elastic net regression, right? Then I have taken my metrics, okay, where I have taken mean absolute error, mean squared error, and R2 score, because this is a regressor and these are your metrics to evaluate them. Then I have taken again my linear model, and inside that I have taken my elastic net. because this is your elastic net regression and we are going to predict the model with our elastic net. We will go ahead with our train test split. So I have taken my independent variable, test size, I have taken 0.2. That means 20% is my test data. 80% of my total data is my train data, right? Then random state, usually it is 42, but I have taken 75 just to know the, trend. Then I need to run this and after this. Then I need to see the shape, right? Because I have taken my path. So I can see that my X train is 614 and 8 features. X test 154 rows. Then I have what I did here. I want to show you the ridge model, the lasso model and the elastic net model. So for that, as all three are different models and all those three are good for predictions. So first I have started my ridge model. So for that I have taken ridge, and for ridge what is the criteria, guys? Alpha, right? We are considering the hyperparameter here, correct? Because that is your hyperparameter. If you have not gone through the videos, please go through the last video where I have explained all these concepts before moving ahead for the end-to-end projects, right? So the alpha part I have taken, which is my hyperparameter, I have taken 0.5. This is a sweet spot, okay? And I have taken that. I have taken my ridge model. Now I am fitting my data, my train data to my ridge model. And you can see my ridge model. Let me open my parameters. So this is my ridge model, you can see. Then what is the next step? I have to predict my data, right? So for prediction, what is the step we are doing? We are giving test data as input, right? So which is my test data? X test. So this is my predictions, and this is the score I am getting, 34 or almost 35. And this is the R2 score, right? Then I completed my ridge model. Now I want to see my lasso model. Again, for lasso, you can take like this, lasso alpha. Alpha is a hyperparameter which we are taking, guys, which we are considering. And what I said that elastic net is a combination of ridge and lassos, and we will see that. Lasso model, this is my lasso model. So lasso underscore model dot fit, I am fitting my data, right? So X train and Y train. Then you can see how my lasso is coming, right? Selection, cyclic, and these are your all default parameters, guys, okay? Then after that, I'm predicting my data with test. Then my R2 score. Here my R2 score is coming 28.59. That means almost 30% I'm getting. Then I am evaluating my model. This is my evaluations and these are your metrics, right? MAE, mean absolute error, mean square error, and RMSE error. These are a percent or the amount of errors present in the data, which are not so high, you can see, right? It's in decimals. Now, what is the next step, guys? What is the purpose of lasso and ridge? Lasso and ridge, specifically lasso, is there to get the coefficients of features. Then it will tend those coefficients which are not related or which are not properly related, and they will tend the coefficients to 0, and ultimately it will remove, or it will be easier for you to remove them for your further model input, right? So for that I have taken coefficients. So you can see this is a property, right? Coefficients. We need to get the coefficients, and how many coefficients are needed here? We need 5 coefficients, right? Let me go to the whiteboard. So when we're talking about coefficients, what are those? Y hat equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2, right? Plus beta 3 x3. So here my beta 1, beta 2, beta 3 are your coefficients. And how many features are present? We have 8 features, right? And for 8 features, how many coefficients should be there? 8. So the same thing I am seeing here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So total 8 coefficients I'm getting. Then I have given my name as a features name, like where all my features should be present, and I am considering my lasso. So here we got my coefficients, and here I am again taking. So this is my ridge model coefficients. Now I am seeing my lasso model's coefficients, and for getting the final coefficient, so I am just considering all these features, and I'm taking into a series like data frame, and after that I'm printing my coefficients. So these are your coefficients for lasso. You can see like I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, almost 5. Almost 5 are not needed, or it has made 0, right? Then what is the next step? I am taking each and every one. Okay. After lasso, we have only 4 non-zero coefficients. So we have total 8 coefficients. However, after lasso, it is telling that you have only 4 coefficients. However, in case of ridge, what we understood that it is not going to make 0. It is not going to make 0. However, the intensity of the values will tell you that which one to consider, which one not to consider. So, if I would be there at your place, then I would not be considering this, right? Then I would not be considering this one as well, like this one. These four I should not be considering, and these 4 I should be considering, because these are very minimum values, right? So I have shown you how my ridge and lasso are useful for getting your coefficients, the number of coefficients which are needed, right? Now let us train with elastic net, because that is our agenda, or that is our purpose, right? So you can see that I have taken my elastic model, and what is the meaning of elastic model? It is a mix of L1 and L2 penalties, or a lasso and ridge regularizations, correct? So these are, just understand the basic steps, guys. These are your properties: alpha, L1 ratio, right? Random state 42, right? L1 ratio is what? I am considering here lasso. L2 ratio means I am considering here ridge, correct? So, and alpha value I have taken 0.1, and this is what, let me run this, otherwise my model will fail. And I'm fitting my data with train and test, and this is my elastic net. You see, L1 ratio 0.5. So all these are default values it is telling. Random state it has considered 42, because I have not defined any random state, right, when I'm considering. Then Y predicted, okay, R2 score, I'm getting 34. Then now what is the next step? I want to know how many coefficients, because lasso has been applied, how it is going to remove the least preferred coefficients, or where the coefficients are 0, it is going to remove, right? So that part I am seeing here. I have taken a list of elastic model coefficients, then I have taken my elastic model dot coefficient. This is a property to get the coefficients of it, right? And let me see how many we are getting. So you can see that I am getting 1, 0 out of my all coefficients. So out of 8, I am getting 1, 0. One coefficient is 0, and I'm just taking that and printing it. So I can see that after elastic net, we have only 7 non-zero coefficients. But however, what is my original shape, guys? That is my 768 and 8. That means total 8 columns. So with this, with elastic net, what we understood that this is very helpful for your feature selection. If you have very large data set, consider that, take examples of them, try with these methods and see how it is doing the feature selections, right? And all those formulas and everything, how it is getting derived, I have already explained you in my elastic net video, where the concepts I have explained. Just go through that. Understand these things, because these are advanced, right? These are the advanced techniques which are getting used in all advanced level of applications, correct? So just go through them, practice, and we'll see, or we'll meet in our next video. Thank you. Well, that is all for now. We will cover further topics as promised in our upcoming videos. If you really like the content, if this content is really helpful for your career, please start subscribing. It won't take much time for you, and that is one step towards me. And we are joining the hands together to make this community stronger, AI and ML community stronger. So let us do that together, and like, share your comments, share your feedback, share this channel link to all your friends, and don't forget to hit the bell icon when you're subscribing so that you'll not miss the latest updates. So, thank you. See you till the next time.